Again. Oh, and yet it is live on YouTube, I think. It is live. So weird. I probably need to update something. So I'm pretty sure we're live. And if not, I'm going to record to the cloud. Okay. So hello, everybody. I am in LABAN Lab with two of my best friends, Michael Richter and Georgina Aragon. And they're both amazing teachers. Michael Richter is a language of dance teacher. Georgina Aragon teaches foundations of dance and a bunch of other things, ballet, everything. And we are here today to answer questions and to discuss things and to move together. So I'm just going to sit on my chair. I received with my vacuum right behind me, I received a email from somebody, Joel Daniel, and he had some questions. And so I'm going to answer them right now, right here. This is about, can you make an effort out of its icosahedron zone? Example, can you dab where you would normally ring? So the answer is yes, you can do an effort anywhere. The idea with the efforts and the affinities is that that lightness tends to rise and strength, light effort tends to rise, strong weight tends to go down. Direct space tends to cross and be specific. Indirect space tends to be open and inspecific or global, let's say that. And so I could dab anywhere. I could poke, boop. I can be direct as I'm open. All of this stuff is possible. It's just the idea of the affinities and disaffinities are in the affinity, it is most likely to be this, but it could be something totally different. So yes, all the things can happen in different places. That is the first answer. What is the distinction definition of being direct? It seems that you can also be direct in flexible space. So let me just say a few things. In LABAN, we have body, effort, space, and shape. And there's big space, which is the geometric space, like that painting is like a painting of forms in geometric space, right? And then we also have space effort. And so space effort, which has, if we align it with big space, geometric space, we are going to cross and be direct and then open and be indirect. But I can be direct open and I can be indirect as I'm crossing. All of this can break apart. It doesn't ever have to be one way. And then the last one, why is sudden behind you on the wheel plane? So in the sagittal, we would say that quick time goes back because here's my analogy for it. Imagining that you are walking through a like dark hallway with, and you can't see anything and you're making your way through and then boom, you touch something gross, you're going to go back quick. So like we make our way forward carefully, slowly, slowing down, and we move back quick because that's like that startle reflex. This is my interpretation of it. It may be different for other people, but the affinities are just, it often does this, not it must be this way. It's affined with, not married to, right? They have an attraction, but they haven't tied the knot. All right, so we're going to play with some Bartenieff fundamentals today. And let's start on the floor because Michael and Georgina are already both down there. We'll just do the fundamentals. Like sometimes you got to go with what is going on. That's sort of the way I like to work. So we're going to start on our backs on the floor. We just did a whole role play with a lot of humming and a lot of sounding. So I'm going to suggest we take a couple of big breaths and do some sounding. Ha, ooh, oh, ah. And I'm going to add a heel rock because I feel the need to move. So I'm going to dig my heels into the floor, soften my neck, and allow this movement to ripple through my body. Ugh, my tongue is relaxing. Letting some sound in so that I have movement and vibration, double whammy. Ha. And then I'm going to rotate in and out. So if I go one way, like doing this up and down, then I also want to do it the other way. And there was a request from Michael to do some spirally stuff today. So let's slide our heels up. This is a pre-thigh lift, sliding a heel up, sliding heel up. We can play with that. And then we're going to do the knee drop to get the spirals. So You slide out, you slide out, you slide up, you slide up. As I'm sliding up and sliding out, I'm finding my sit bone heel connection. And in my body, I'm also pulling my socks off because of the carpet. So just the pre-thigh lift, getting ready to do the thigh lift, easy and relaxed. We want to do this so we're not like Captain Kirk putting as much effort into our acting skills as we can. We want to make it as easy and fluid as possible, so it's no effort at all to slide the leg out or to slide the leg up. We could also think about how that connection from the sole of our foot, that arched diaphragm in the sole of our foot, is coming into the diaphragm in our pelvic floor, is coming into our psoas with that hip flexion, that movement up and down. And let's go to the knee drop from there, since we're going to add some spiraling. So normally we might do a pre-thigh lift into a thigh lift, but we're going to do a knee drop to get the spiral. And I'm going to do the knee drop towards you guys. So I'm going to drop one knee. I'm going to drop the other as relaxed as possible. So just to show that one more time, if I really relax, there's even some rebound because I'm not controlling that. So I can go, I'm just going to show that again. I'm dropping, there's total drop, super relaxed. There's rebound because my body's not doing that holding. Then the way to go back, and this is, I'm going to show it from the other side to show you the way to go back. So I am going to drop, drop. The way to go back is to think that here's my sacrum, my sacroiliac. I'm going to, this is my favorite image of it, squish a cockroach under my sacrum, which initiates the movement to come back up. So I drop a knee, I drop the other knee, very relaxed. There's that rebound. And then I think almost like my tailbone and my sacrum and my tailbone are kind of smearing across the floor, spreading like butter to come back up. I'll do it on the other side. Dropping a knee, and then smearing and bringing it back up. So when I go into that smear, I do feel some action here under my ribs. Drop, drop, smear. So yeah, my whole torso is kind of spreading to come up. Knee drop, into that. Yeah. So for me, when I teach the knee drop, the Laura knee drop, very different than the Bartenieff knee drop, I like to open all the way and close and just get as relaxed as possible. So in this, I'm actually just massaging through my glutes and my rotators, really loose and easy. And I'm also getting this big expansion in the front, so my inner thighs are opening up. So the femur head in the hip socket is doing this. Femur head in the hip socket is getting some movement in both directions in this in and out. If I do it with and it's rolling across my butt. If I do the Bartenieff version of coming back, I'm getting some shear force in the big muscles of my butt and rotators, my hips, my piriformis. I drop, and then I shift. And it's almost like my muscles stay behind and my bones start to move. So there's like this movement like this. So the difference, just to show people in TV land, like if I roll across something, it's doing this. I'm rolling through the muscle. If I shear, that's what's happening, right? And that's going to move things very differently. The fascia is going to relate to this type of movement different than this type of movement. Both of them are great. They just do different things. So thinking about that and then I see Georgina's doing something which I love, and we're going to do this next. And that is just taking one heel over and then doing a very different version of the knee drop. You're just going to drop from side to side. And this again is going to massage out your sacrum, your lower back, and do it as relaxed as possible. So dropping from one side, massaging through, dropping to the other. Allowing your guts to be really soft and easy. So in the Bartenieff work, we had this deep underlying breath support, which we can take that all the way down to cellular breathing. The cells in our body are breathing. Our lungs are breathing. Our skin is breathing. Let's switch this to the other side, other leg. Same thing, massaging through your butt. And then we have core support. And so there are many ways we can think of core support. We can think of like skeletal muscular core support. Or is it musculoskeletal? I get those confused all the time. But we can think of that, the structure, and we can think of fascia core support. The fascia adjusting and doing what it needs to do for our body to move. We can think of our organs and our like digestive system as core support. We can think of like all our organs working in a coherent manner, cardiovascular, endocrine, lymphatic, all the stuff, breath, working together as being core support. And when those organs,
Digestive.
yeah, didn't they say that? Gut body, digestion. Yes. And that's a huge one, right? Because that's tongue to tail. So let's stop what we were doing and come into this digestive. And let's do some sound with this. And it's going to be kind of like a gurgling. And what we're going to connect is our head tail connection. So these kind of basic body connections, like we did the heel sits bone connection with our thigh lift or our pre-thigh lift, these basic body connections are very much a part of the fundamentals of Bartenieff, of like what's connecting to what, how's it moving, how do we engage deeper connection. And this head tail connection is also part of our developmental pattern, getting that spinal action, spinal support. But let's go with head tail, tongue to tail, or I'm going to say it, lips to asshole, the hot dog part, right? They say lips and assholes are in hot dogs. I just have to say that because it's hot dogs. But tongue to tail, gut body, the internal hot dog tube is part of that core support. Our digestion. And when we think of our digestion in our body, I'm just going to hands on my guts a little bit because I think most people don't. And that whole area of like in through my tongue, through my throat, down to my stomach, spleen. I don't think, does the spleen do that? No, stomach, gastroenteric body. Just giving it a little movement and love, right? Is there stuff stuck together in there? Can we really have good core support if our guts are all knotted up or if we're super gassy? So inviting in some movement into the gut body from the head to the tail. And we're going to add a sound. It's a gurgly breath. It's like you have spit in your throat, right? I got some spit in my throat. And then I'm going to gurgle that spit. And I'm going to invite the sort of peristalsis of my system. That's how food moves through, right? That digestive tract is this peristalsis. And usually there are sphincters that stop the food from coming back up, right? So that it goes through and it closes off. They're one-way valves just to go one way. So we're going to just bring that online with this gut body breath, bubbling it up. And as you're in that, I want you to think of really freeing up the whole thing. So we're not just moving with an upper versus lower pattern or a right versus left pattern. We can also spiral, we can mix and match our patterns so that inside our body is this whole transverse shaping, right? Like we're letting ourselves move in really multifaceted, multidimensional ways and adding the breath. I keep talking about it. I hope you're just doing it. Here we go. Inhale whenever you need to. It feels to me almost like a dog growling or a cat purring, or actually, my real image is like a dragon with his hoard just kind of bubbling himself over his hoard of gold. Ah. So letting yourself tune into that movement and allowing movement to bubble up, right? So it's like subconscious movement. There could be, what do we call them? Like trace movements, movements that we've hidden and locked away, shadow movements, movements from the underbelly, from the inside, things that, as humans, generally we aren't moving in these patterns because it might scare other people or it might be different. So we're inviting our own holding patterns to free up by just inviting in this gut body activity. gut-body awareness. And before this, in our last class, after Michael was talking about reading this book, what was the book, Michael, about octopus? How and their nervous system being decentralized?
Yeah, it's by Cy Montgomery. It's this whole book on her experiences with the octopi in the New England Aquarium in Boston, and that their nervous system is decentralized. So it's like there's a separate brain in each arm.
So I want to invite in that whole idea and imagine that our gut body is through our whole body. And in a weird way, it is because we're taking the nutrition that comes through our gut body and it's going to move out through our blood into the rest of our body. So inviting in this decentralized imagining this decentralized gut body with real free flow capacity. What is free flow? It's flow that hasn't been bound up, right? It's such an interesting thing. People always ask, what's the difference between bound flow and free flow? Those are efforts, right? And bound flow is very adult, it's very mature, it knows where it's going, it's specific, it's particular. And free flow is more like children running around the playground, like it's playful. There's no necessarily plan here. It's just coming out. It's the improvisational freedom. So inviting that in, imagining that your whole body is a gut body, that your arms and legs are like these octopus, highly, highly intelligent surface areas, and giving them some freedom. So here's a very interesting mix and match of coming from some specific Bartenieff fundamentals that are these fundamentals of movement into this sort of free flow play effort with this deep underlying core support. Ah, if we add sound, there's definitely going to be breath support. Allowing yourself to slow it down whenever you need to, letting yourself process, filtering in the information of the exploration. Like, this is a place where you can find insights. Oh yeah, there's that thing stuck over here. Maybe I can take that sleeve off and let it go. Yeah, and Bartenieff did a whole lot of work with sounding. So we could play with that too, adding the Bartenieff sounding is like ooh in the base of your here. Maybe we'd say our lower dantian or chi area, even maybe below that. Ooh, oh, a little higher, sort of belly button waist. Ah, base of the ribs. A, higher ribs. E, throat. And her, like, she felt like that's where the sounds were. So we can also play with that you could play with it just like we're just going to play with ooh in our belly. Oh, ah, so I'm still playing in this gut body movement, but I'm going to add the ooh, oh, ah, e's in a free flow manner, meaning I go wherever I want. Whenever I want. letting yourself process whenever you need to. And let's move with some different fundamentals. Let's just go with rolling from side to side. So we did the twist, the rolling of the lower body. What happens when we body half ourselves from one side to the other? Massaging across our back, opening and closing as easy and loose as possible. So this is one form of body half. We would call this homolateral movement, moving one side, then moving the other. Like a smile. We're smiling open our body. Smiling open. So that was that side versus side. And then if we want to spiral, we can go in a contralateral pattern where we're twisting. We could do X rolls but it's nice to just play with it, playing with whatever way feels good. If I want to, like, I don't want to be all specific with my X roll. I don't want to do the perfect X roll. I want to play with the spiraling and feel what that feels like. Oh, what if my legs were anchored and I could only spiral in my upper body? What would happen? Oh, where could I go? Or what if my arms were anchored and I could only spiral in my lower body? What would I do? What would happen? How would I move? And then I could also anchor a diagonal, right? I could anchor one diagonal of the other through my body. So let's say I anchor one, and then this one can move all over the place. Where can I go? Well, there's anchoring happening. We could also call that stability and mobility, right? The stability of this one line while the other one goes crazy. What can happen? Look at those beautiful X rolls. And then playing around with another one. Listening into what your body wants and needs. It's interesting because I think about, like, pedagogy, teaching and theory and all this kind of stuff. And we've so much has happened since LABAN and Bartenieff were around teaching. There's so many possibilities. There's so many things. And even when they were alive, there were still so many other possibilities. So, where are those possibilities? Can we tune into them and enjoy them? Right? Oh, like all of this pole dancing business with the legs, where we do these internal and external circles. What if I break all the rules of how I'm supposed to move my legs? What do I come to? I'm feeling the need to get off of my back. So I want to open it up and just have Michael and Georgina free to speak anything about movement or body or anything that feels like interesting or um, of this time. This is Zeitgeist. What is happening with this time? What are we feeling in our bodies? What is of interest? What's current?
I had an image I can share for choreography, which is doing axis kind of in the body movements on a spiral pathway through space, and doing spiral in the body kind of movements, transverse axis movements on straight pathways on a grid. So like mixing the body with the space and doing the opposite. And I think that could be very gratifying
Do you
for
have,
the
can
nervous
you,
system.
yeah, can you show
Uh,
us a little bit like what you're thinking, like so
you
we
know,
can see it?
I'm thinking like when you want to be doing kind of the PNF kind of transverse stuff, that
Yeah,
you'll be doing as you're on a straight pathway, right? So I'm
right.
like, right? And then when you're working on on a spiral pathway, you'll be like very,
Oh, straight.
spiraling, but very, uh, linear and straight in the body on your different axes and planes.
That's super fun. Oh my God, it was fun to watch you
Right?
do it too.
It's just the right amount of challenge, I think, for the mind to like be happy and for the body to be happy.
So let's play with it because it's your idea, and I feel like that's what the whole moment is, right? To like, oh, what's here? Let's play with that thing. I love this. So, okay, one of them is like being on straight pathways. Like we're talking about moving through space. The locomotion is straight, but we're doing all these spirals, right? Right. Are you muted?
Yeah, that's right. I love it. I'm just watching because it's so fun to
Okay.
see it.
It's super fun to do it. And I feel like just the idea in one of the classes that I teach at the gym, I'm just teaching them to do tandus in a line. And I'm like, can you just stay on the balance beam without falling off? And I love this. It feels very like a Greek urn as I'm trying to stay on my lines. And so I want to talk just a little bit, in case people don't know. In in movement analysis, we talk about these different pathways and tensions. So just to throw what that transverse business is, a central pathway is coming from the center going out. Central pathway, central pathway, pathway. A peripheral pathway is around the periphery of my kinsphere or of my body. So here's a far reach space peripheral pathway, medium, mid-limb reach space peripheral pathways, near reach space peripheral, and then transverse is where we're usually not going straight out, not going along the periphery. We're going between the center and the periphery. So a transverse pathway or tension could be very 3D, very spirally. So that's what we're working with, this transverse idea. Oh, it's very fun. It feels yummy in my body. I really don't want to do the linear movement on the spiral pathway, but I think that we should do it. So let's go with that. Linear. So
It's
let's
so
put our
fun. It's very happy. You're gonna be happier than you think.
oh, it feels very marching band gone awry.
Great. Let it go more awry then.
I feel more Benny Hill.
Yeah, I feel myself drawing in these extra spirals. Yeah, so I want to say like today I feel like is the most lab-like of the LABAN lab because you guys are both here and we can play with these different ideas. I'm going back to my line. I feel like we do this a lot in and Georgina dances with me in Octavia Cup, and actually me and Michael are dancing together too soon in Octavia Cup with Michael. But I feel like we do this a lot in Octavia Cup where we're traveling along a line, but we're doing all these different things. It's really fun. We might have to include these in our explorations, Michael. Georgina, what you gonna say?
I actually had a moment yesterday in choreography class where at the end where this one student was finishing his dance where he had gone to the other side of the room was very dark, and when he crossed like came back from the other dimension, he did this circular motion in a kind of waltz thing. It was very like Tim Burton creepy music, and he kept on going, and that was like just the way that you're explaining those curves. And yeah, he used that rotation of like coming out, and it was beautifully done. But yeah, like little, almost like music box, tinka 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 tinka, this little waltz, and that rotation was just there. It was really, that's what it just reminded me of. We're in the same zone.
It's interesting that you like as soon as you said that the Tim Burton and the waltz, like the waltz gone wrong, like the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like how creepy weird it can actually be, right? Like normally it should be like, oh, it's so beautiful and we all love it. It's so classical, but it can also be ring ding ding bong 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 ding ding. And if we put the transverseness in our body, that is easy to make it look creepier. If we're waltzing, doing something that says 1, 2, 3 ish, and then we throw in this stuff, it becomes and what is creepy often to people is the unfamiliar, right? Ooh, the squishy weird.
What's so nice about this though is how integrating and waking up it is, right? So like I feel very alert and present and integrated from doing, right? From doing the opposite in the body from the space, very good for my like attentive nervous system stuff.
It is because it's requiring like a couple of different awarenesses to be happening at the same time, right? And this is, I mean, part of the beauty of dance is like, okay, I've got to be aware that I'm following this one pattern, and yet I have to stay concentrated and focused on the line that I'm on. Like there's so much to it. And once I'm in that, it's all encompassing. It like takes me in completely because I'm in all of the feeling and sensation of the movement. And then I'm following rules and keeping, am I still following the rules? Yeah, awesome.
I'm also enjoying feeling all the that my digits have digits and my tail above my head, like it's just spreading, like that constant feeling of awareness to the tips of the toes and fingers and then the head and tail, and that's the awakening the alive.
And that's like the developmental patterns, right? We have our first thing is that breath support, and then navel radiation, core distal, center to edge, fingertips to center, head tail. Like those things are all coming online. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. So
Magic.
it's like, yeah, it's it's so natural. Bang, 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 right? And then as we move together, we're coming into this rhythm together, right? We're social centering with each other and listening to each other and using each other's ideas. It's like awesome. Super fun.
The octopus tastes through his or her entire skin and body. And all the suckers, they taste everything in the water or wherever. So I love that too, right? Like as you're dancing, if all of your skin were like tasting the flavors in and around you in the air,
It,
everywhere, like responding to the flavoring.
yeah, that's delicious. That's a delicious image. Because also we can feel our whole skin. We can feel our clothes, the air. I've got very different temperatures happening in different parts of my body. And in a weird way, like just sensation is taste, right? How does our skin taste the air around it? Ah. Yeah, and it brings us into this aliveness, right? Which for us, the three of us, it's certainly like this is our homeostasis. To be in this movement stuff is what keeps us alive and going. And for people that don't move as much, it could be exhausting because it's like you've lit it all up. The whole thing's alive and awake. Ha. And engaging. Hmm. Awesome. Anything else to say? Any other thoughts, Georgina or Michael? Yeah, we could have the conversation.
I feel that we can use this later on today.
Yeah.
That negative space.
Don't be negative, space. I'm not into that negative space, man. I only want positive space. Give me some positive space. No negative space. Yeah. Oh, what if I take your movement and run away with it? I've stolen your movement and I've shifted it into something else. All right. Well, we are at bingo this time, which is now the end. How's everybody doing in the TV land? Yeah, it's so fun to be moving with movers.
My companion finally got tired.
I want to suggest to all your TV Land followers that if you did this with us, now you go into something like writing or sending emails or something that you sometimes do without this kind of a warm up, and see how it might be different to do something like that from this space.
Yeah, and to keep bringing it back in. Like if you have a meditation practice, you want to have that happening in your day. If you have a movement practice, you want to keep inviting things in. Like I will be tasting with my skin all day today. That's going to, so any little bit, any little bite-sized piece or chunk can be the delicious morsel that can change your life. So thank you.